Okay, we have a very important topic to discuss today. The FBI has issued a warning about criminals impersonating immigration and customs enforcement agents to commit crimes. And joining us to discuss this is Randy Sutton, retired Las Vegas police lieutenant and founder and chairman of the Wounded Blue. During his career, he created a special unit in the Las Vegas Metro Police called the Hispanic American Resource Team, which investigated crimes against the illegal immigrant community. Included in those crimes were those in positions of authority, including fake law enforcement, who preyed upon them. So, Randy, good afternoon. Such a pleasure to have you here today. So, can we talk about these reports? Good afternoon. These reports are saying that the criminals have been wearing clothing with ICE labels. How do you distinguish real law enforcement officers from criminals pretending to be them? Are there any telltale signs to look out for behaviorally, appearance-wise?
Yeah, let's delve into this a little bit. So, first of all, this is really nothing new. There's been impersonation of law enforcement officers for many, many years. It depends on the circumstances. Of course, there have been people that dress up like police officers, put blue lights on their cars, and make car stops. There have been officers or people who've masqueraded as officers in order to gain entry into drug dealers' homes, pretending to be police officers when they were actually there to rip off the drug dealers. So the fact that this is taking place is not really a surprise. The issue is now, because of the increased activity in the realm of the ICE world, the Immigration and Customs and Border Patrol, there's a lot more emphasis on this, and a lot of notoriety about these arrests taking place and about these, communications taking place out on the street. Now, there will always be those who prey upon others and using positions of authority or even fake positions of authority in order to get access to people's money, goods, power over them. So, in answer to your question, are there ways to tell? And the answer to that is every single police officer or law enforcement officer, any federal officer, will have two forms of identification. They will have a badge, but they will also have a photograph ID card with them. And they're required to show that if people ask. Those who just don a jacket that says FBI on it or ICE or whatever, that's an outer garment. But and of course the confusion is really tough here because when a federal agent or an ICE agent is out there in the field, they wear garments that announce who they are. But when you're talking about an investigative process where they're identifying themselves, they have to show an ID card that has their photograph as well as the badge.
Are there any signs, pardon me, are there any signs, behaviorally speaking? For example, you mentioned one earlier that these impersonators would sometimes prey on others asking for money or something. Federal law enforcement wouldn't do that, right?
Correct. There will be no time when an actual law enforcement officer is asking for money or asking for sexual favors for some not doing their job. Any legitimate law enforcement officer is not going to be doing that. They're not going to ask for anything of value. That's a sure sign that this is an individual that is not on the up and up. And of course, this is very intimidating, especially in the illegal community, because there have been so many people with it that have preyed on illegals in a lot of different ways. Landlords, for instance, have been preying on the illegal community. Lawyers. I mean, when I had the Hispanic American Resource Team in Las Vegas, we came across a number of attorneys who were masquerading as being, doing immigration work when they really weren't. They were just simply, using their positions to steal money from people that were in a very vulnerable position. And that's why this is such a tragic set of circumstances. And it's important for people to know this, that a federal law exists that if you are a victim of a crime and you're not a legal citizen in this country, the federal government can give you a pass on that and can actually keep you in the country legally if you are a crime victim. Very few people know that, but it's important to know.
Yeah, I mean that's a very important point to mention there, Randy, and appreciate you pointing that out. And I want to follow up on an earlier point you made about officers having to carry ID. So I'm wondering, if you ask an officer to show identification, is there any legal requirement that they must do it? Could there be situations where an actual officer refuses to show ID, or an agent's face is covered and can't be identified?
Yeah, and so there are no laws that I'm aware of that require that, but there are policies and procedures, and it's just common sense that if you're a law enforcement officer and someone asks to see your identification, when you are in an enforcement capacity. Now, it depends on when. If there's a dynamic situation, like if officers are making an arrest situation, and you see that there are numerous officers that everybody's dressed the same. Well, you can look, pretty much common sense will dictate that you're not going to be able to ask for ID while they're kicking in a door or doing a search warrant, something like that. But in a regular investigatory stop, when the people are knocking on the door asking for information, they will gladly show their identification. If they don't, then you contact your local police and say, I think there may be somebody here that's impersonating a law enforcement officer.
So, like I said earlier, I found it really helpful that you gave us that tip about what a person can do if they were a victim of impersonation. Maybe you can tell us a bit more. Are there any other things that someone can do if they're a victim? What are the next steps that they should take?
You're going to have to be a little more specific. Victim of what?
Victim of impersonation, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if they believe they're a victim of someone who is trying to coerce them into something because of their status, their legal status, and an individual is not providing the proper identification, then yeah, you want to call either the field office of the if they're saying that they're a border patrol, they're saying they're customs, they're saying they're FBI. There are field offices basically in every jurisdiction, so you would want to contact them. But in the event of someone, where you feel like you're in danger, you want to call the local police, because they will be there and they will be able to ascertain whether or not that individual is a legitimate law enforcement officer or not. If they are not, then they're the ones that are going to be going off in handcuffs, not you.
Okay, Randy, just one final question that I have on my mind here, and it relates to what you said earlier, that these impersonation tactics have been going on for a while now. So I'm just wondering on that point, do current penalties for impersonating ICE have enough deterrent power? What can be done to prevent these cases from happening more in the future?
No, that's a great question, because deterrence is one of the issues that we faced in law enforcement, is the lack of consequences for actions. You have a lack of consequences for much criminal behavior around the country, where even violent offenses are losing their consequences because of inadequate penalties that are being assigned to these individual cases. Impersonation is, generally speaking, not a felony crime. And so when you talk about a lack of deterrence, yeah, if we don't hold people accountable for what they do in all facets of the criminal law world, then we continue to see this type of behavior, become exacerbated.
Well, Randy, I think it was really helpful to speak with you today. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.